Your sister bought a house! When will you settle down? My mother's voice rang out across the Christmas dinner table, loud enough for all 23 family members to hear. She was looking at me with that expression I knew so well. Disappointment mixed with embarrassment, like I was a stain on the family reputation that she couldn't quite scrub out. I just smiled, took a sip of my wine, and said absolutely nothing. What my mother didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd closed on not one but 3 properties that year. What they didn't know was that while my successful sister Jessica was celebrating her tiny starter condo with a 30-year mortgage, I was sitting on a real estate portfolio worth $2.3 million. What they didn't know was that I was about to retire at 32 years old. But I wasn't ready to tell them yet. Not even close. My name is Rachel Martinez. I'm 32 years old, and for my entire adult life, my family has treated me like the failure, the disappointment, the one who never lived up to her potential. While my younger sister Jessica got praised for every mediocre achievement, I got criticized for not being married, not having kids, not buying a house in the right neighborhood. This is the story of how I let my family underestimate me for years, how they mocked me one time too many, and how I orchestrated the most satisfying reveal of my life. This is about patience, strategy, and the sweet, sweet taste of vindication when people who look down on you finally realize they were wrong about everything. Looking back now, from my paid-off house with its ocean view, I can see that Christmas dinner was the turning point. That was the moment I decided they'd gotten their last free insult. That was when I started planning my exit and my reveal. But to understand how it all came together, you need to understand where it started. I grew up in Orange County, California, in a solidly upper-middle-class family. My parents, Roberto and Linda Martinez, were both successful professionals. Dad was a corporate attorney, Mom was a hospital administrator. They had money, status, and very specific ideas about what success looked like. Jessica was born when I was 3. From the beginning, she was the golden child. Pretty, outgoing, conventionally feminine in all the ways I wasn't. She liked shopping and makeup and boys. I liked books and coding and being left alone. By high school, the divide was clear. Jessica was a cheerleader, homecoming princess, popular. I was in the computer lab building websites, learning to code. Jessica's report card with B's and C's got posted on the fridge with pride. My straight A's got a nod and well, that's what we expect from you. When it came time for college, Jessica wanted to go to a party school with a good social scene. She got into UC Santa Barbara, not because of her grades, but because Dad made a generous donation to the Alumni Association. They threw her a graduation party with 200 people and gifted her a new car. I got a full ride to MIT for computer science. They came to my high school graduation but skipped the college send-off. You'll be fine, Mom said. You've always been so independent. There it was again, independent. Their code word for, we don't need to help you because you'll figure it out yourself. At Mini-T I thrived. I learned advanced programming, got internships at top tech companies, and graduated with honors. My parents came to graduation but left early to catch Jessica's college orientation weekend at UCSB. Jessica spent 4.5 years partying her way through a communications degree. She graduated with a 2.8 GPA, no job prospects, and moved back home. Mom called it finding herself. When I landed my first job at a Silicon Valley startup making 95,000 right out of college, Mom's response was, "That's nice, honey. Did you hear Jessica got a job at that cute boutique? She gets an employee discount?" The boutique job paid $13 an hour. But here's what I learned early. My family wasn't going to celebrate my achievements, so I stopped telling them about them. When I got promoted to senior developer at 25, making 140,000, I didn't mention it. When I got headhunted to a bigger company at 27 for 180,000 plus stock options, I kept quiet. I lived modestly, drove a used Honda Civic, rented a small apartment in a less trendy part of San Jose, wore simple clothes, nothing flashy. To my family, I looked like I was barely getting by. To them, I was the struggling tech worker, probably drowning in student debt I had none, probably living paycheck to paycheck. I was saving 60% of my income. Meanwhile, Jessica bounced from job to job. Retail restaurant hostess, social media coordinator, for a friend's small business. She was 29 and had never made more than $35,000 a year. But every job was treated like a major achievement. Every minor promotion got announced on the family text chain with celebration emojis. When Jessica got engaged at 28 to Brandon, a perfectly nice but financially struggling personal trainer, the family exploded with joy. Engagement party, bridal shower, bachelorette trip to Cabo. all funded by mom and dad. The wedding cost $60,000. I was a bridesmaid and paid for my own dress, while mom and dad covered everything else. At the wedding, drunk Uncle Carlos cornered me. So Rachel, when are you going to find a nice man and settle down? You're not getting any younger? I smiled, focusing on my career right now. He laughed. Career, right? At that computer job, when are you going to do something with your life? I was making 195 zalajat at that point. Uncle Carlos was a used car salesman. The comments never stopped. At every family gathering, someone felt the need to point out my failures. Still renting. At your age, no boyfriend yet. You're so picky. Don't you want kids? Your biological clock is ticking. Jessica's doing so well. When will you get your life together? I smiled through all of it. Let them think what they wanted. Because I had a plan. I'd been investing in real estate since I was 26. Started with a small condo in Sacramento that I rented out 15,000 down, thirds 200 a month in rental income. The family didn't know because I never told them. To them, I was just still renting and wasting money. At 28, I bought a duplex in Stockton. Lived in one unit, rented out the other. Cut my living expenses to almost nothing while building equity. The family thought I'd moved to Stockton because I couldn't afford to live in the Bay Area anymore. Let them think that. At 30, I bought a small apartment building in Fresno. 4 units, all rented, positive cash flow from day one. Used a combination of savings, my stock options, which had vested and been worth way more than expected, and a loan. The family had no idea. They thought I was struggling. Meanwhile, Jessica and Brandon bought their starter condo. A tiny 2-bedroom in a so-so part of Anaheim, stretching themselves thin to afford it. Mom and Dad gave them 40,000 for the down payment. The family group chat exploded. SOPROU'd of Jessica and Brandon? Homeowners! This is what success looks like, Mom called me. Did you see Jessica bought a house? I saw. Congratulations to them. You know, Rachel, maybe you should think about buying something. Jessica's younger than you and she's already building equity. At your age, you should be thinking about your future. I was thinking about my future. I just accepted a job offer at $220,000 plus a signing bonus that I immediately put toward my next property. I'll think about it, Mom. You can't rent forever. You need to grow up and make adult decisions. I was 30 years old with a net worth approaching 7 figures. But sure, I needed to grow up. At 31, I bought my dream property. A gorgeous 3-bedroom house in Carlsbad right near the beach. Ocean views from the master bedroom, hardwood floors, updated kitchen, a backyard with a fire pit. I paid $850,000, putting down 30% from my accumulated savings and investment returns. But here's the thing I didn't tell anyone. I kept my Stockton address on my driver's license, kept my mail going to a P.O. box, kept up the appearance of still struggling. Because by then, I'd realized something. The family's lack of respect wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. They decided who was successful, Jessica, and who was the disappointment, me, and no amount of actual success on my part would change their minds. So I decided to play the long game, to let them continue their delusion, to wait for the perfect moment to reveal the truth. That moment came at Christmas, 1 year after I'd bought the Carlsbad house. The year leading up to that fateful Christmas dinner was a masterclass in family condescension. Each incident was worse than the last, each comment more cutting. And with each one my resolve grew stronger. It started with the family group chat in February. Jessica posted, "Brandon and I are thinking about getting a dog, so excited to have a fur baby and you are Aosa." The responses were immediate and enthusiastic. Mom wrote it on, so exciting. Homeownership perks. Dad added, "That's what building a life looks like. Proud of you both." Then Mom tagged me, "Rachel, you should think about getting a place. Then you could get a dog too. But I know landlords don't usually allow pets." One more reason to buy. I stared at my phone. I had 2 dogs already, a golden retriever named Max and a rescue mutt named Lucy. They lived with me in my house with the big backyard. But the family didn't know that because they'd never asked about my life, never visited me, never cared enough to find out. I typed back, "Happy for you guys." Jess ignored Mom's comment entirely. Later that day Mom called, "Rachel, I saw you didn't respond to my suggestion." "Which suggestion?" "About buying a place. You're 31 now. Don't you think it's time? I'm comfortable where I am, in that rental. Honey, you're throwing money away." Jessica is building equity. Every month, she's investing in her future. What are you doing? I looked around my living room at the custom built-in bookshelves I'd installed, the view of the ocean through the floor, to ceiling windows, the 40,000 couch I'd bought without financing. I'm doing fine, Mom. Are you though? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're standing still while your younger sister is moving forward. Jessica's doing great. I'm happy for her. But when will you do great? When will you give me something to brag about? There it was. The truth beneath all the concern. She wanted something to brag about. I was an embarrassment to her. I've gotta go, Mom. Work call, always working. Maybe if you focused less on that computer job and more on building a real life. I hung up. Easter was worse. 20 people crammed into my parents' dining room. Jessica and Brandon arrived an hour late and were greeted like royalty. Sorry we're late, Jessica announced. We were at Home Depot picking out paint colors for the guest room. The conversation dominated dinner. What color? What style? Are you redecorating? I sat quietly, eating my ham, contributing nothing. Rachel, you're so quiet, Aunt Marie said. What's new with you? Not much. Work is good? Still at that tech company? Yes. Must be nice to have job security, though I imagine it's hard to save for a house on a single income. I was making $220,000 a year. Aunt Marie worked part-time at a dental office. I manage, I said. Well, when you're ready to buy, let me know. My neighbor's a realtor. She specializes in starter homes for first-time buyers. Very affordable options. Jessica chimed in from across the table. Rachel, you should totally look in our area. Brandon and I could be your neighbors. Although, she laughed, I guess our place might be out of your price range. It's gotten pretty expensive. Her condo was worth maybe $450,000. I owned properties worth 5 times that. Maybe someday, I said with a smile. Mom jumped in. Rachel's being cautious. She's a saver. Always has been. Though sometimes you can be too cautious, honey. You have to take risks to get rewards. Dad nodded. Your mother's right. Look at Jessica and Brandon. They took the leap. Now they're building wealth. Jessica and Brandon's condo had appreciated maybe 30,000 since they bought it. My properties had collectively appreciated 400,000 in the same time period. But sure, tell me about building wealth. After dinner, I helped clean up in the kitchen. Mom cornered me by the sink. Honey, I'm worried about you. I'm fine, Mom. Are you? You seem so stuck. Jessica's moving forward with her life, marriage, house, probably kids soon. And you're just working. Is that really all you want? I like my job. But is it enough? Don't you want more? A partner, a home, a family. What I wanted was for my mother to see me as more than a disappointment. But that wasn't going to happen. I'm happy, Mom. Really, she sighed. If you say so. But don't wait too long, Rachel. Life passes by quickly, and before you know it, all the good opportunities are gone. I was financially independent and could retire at 35 if I wanted to. But sure, I was letting opportunities pass by. In June came Jessica's 30th birthday dinner at an upscale restaurant. Mom and Dad were paying as usual. During dessert, Dad stood to make a toast. To my baby girl, who's now 30 years old. Jessica, your mother and I are so proud of the woman you've become. You found an amazing husband, bought a beautiful home, and you're building a wonderful life. You're everything we hoped you'd be. Everyone clinked glasses. Jessica beamed. Then Dad turned to me. Rachel, you should take notes from your sister. She's figured out what matters in life. The table went quiet. A few people looked uncomfortable. Most just nodded in agreement. 30 is a big year. Dad continued. It's when you should have your life together. Jessica does. I hope when you turn 33 next month, you'll have something to celebrate too. I smiled. Jessica, slightly tipsy, leaned across the table. Ratch, seriously though, when are you gonna get it together? Like, I'm worried about you. You're getting older, you're still renting, no boyfriend. What's your plan? I have a plan. Which is? Keep working, keep saving. She laughed. Saving for what? You've been saving forever. At some point, you have to actually do something. Brandon added, Jess is right, you gotta take action. We took action. You took a 40,000 gift from your parents and a 30-year mortgage. Congratulations on your action. I'll take that under advisement, I said. Mom patted my hand. Honey, we're saying this because we love you. We want you to be happy. But you seem so directionless. I was managing 4 properties, optimizing my investment portfolio, and planning my early retirement. Very directionless. I appreciate the concern, I said. Uncle Carlos, drunk as usual, raised his glass. Here's to Jessica, who figured out life, and to Rachel, who's still trying. Everyone laughed, even my parents. I smiled and took a sip of water. That night, lying in my king-sized bed in my ocean view house, I made a decision. I was done playing small. I was done with the quiet patience. At Christmas, when the whole family was gathered, I was going to show them exactly who I was. In September, I got promoted VP of Engineering to the 80,000 base salary plus equity and bonuses. My total compensation package was worth over $400,000 annually. I didn't tell my family. Why would I? They'd already decided I was unsuccessful. But Jessica told the family about her new job. She'd left the boutique to become a marketing coordinator at a friend's startup. 42,000 a year, no benefits. The family group chat exploded with congratulations. Dad wrote, "So proud. Marketing coordinator at 30. That's a real career move." Mom added, "My successful daughter. This is what hard work looks like." I sat in my home office, looking at my six-figure promotion letter and laughed. It was so absurd it was almost funny. Almost. Thanksgiving was the dress rehearsal for Christmas. We gathered at Mom and Dad's, and the pattern repeated. Jessica and Brandon arrived late, got fawned over, dominated the conversation. During dinner, Jessica announced that she and Brandon were thinking about starting a family soon. The table erupted. Excited questions, unsolicited advice, promises of babysitting help. "Rachel, don't you want kids? Someday, maybe, someday." "Honey, your eggs aren't getting any younger." Jessica's smart. She's locking down motherhood while she's still in her prime. Jessica was 30, I was 32. We were both in our prime, whatever that meant. "I have time," I said. "Do you though?" Aunt Marie asked. 35 is the cutoff for easy pregnancies? You've got 3 years. That's not long if you still need to find a husband first. I'm aware of the timeline. Mom shook her head. You're so casual about this. Don't you want what Jessica has? Stability, partnership, a real home. I have stability. On a rental. Rachel, that's not real stability. Real stability is owning a home, having a partner, building a family. Jessica understands that. When will you? I took a bite of turkey. Different people want different things. But do you want anything? You seem so aimless. There was that word again. Directionless. Stuck. I excused myself and went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. One more month. Just one more month. And then I'd never have to sit through this again. When I came back, the conversation had moved on. They were discussing Jessica and Brandon's potential baby names. No one noticed I'd been gone. That was the moment I realized they didn't actually want me to succeed. They wanted me to stay the failure. It made Jessica's mediocre achievements look better by comparison. It gave them someone to worry about, to pity, to feel superior to. Well, Christmas was coming, and I had a gift for them they'd never forget. Christmas dinner arrived. The whole extended family was there, 23 people total. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, the works. I arrived on time, wearing a simple sweater and jeans, drove my old Honda Civic, brought a bottle of wine that cost $15, played the part perfectly. Jessica and Brandon arrived an hour late in Brandon's new truck. Financed, I was sure, but it looked impressive. Jessica wore a designer outfit and was showing off a new handbag. "Sorry we're late," she announced. We were at our house showing Brandon's parents the new renovations. Cue the questions. "What renovations? How exciting! Tell us everything." Jessica launched into a detailed description of how they'd repainted the guest room and replaced the light fixtures. Total cost maybe $800. The way she described it, you'd think they'd done a full gut renovation. Dinner was served, ham, turkey, all the sides. We sat around the massive dining table, extended with extra leaves to fit everyone. The conversation flowed. Jessica dominated as usual, talking about work, the house, their plans for a baby. Everyone listened with rapt attention. I ate quietly, waiting. Then, during dessert, Mom looked at me with that expression. That pitying, disappointed expression I'd seen my whole life. "Rachel, honey, you've been so quiet. What's new with you?" "Not much. Same old. Still at that job." "Yes. Still renting." "Yep." Mom shook her head. "You know, I really think you should consider buying a place." I was talking to a realtor friend, and she said there are some affordable condos in Riverside. Very starter-friendly. I could connect you if you want. "Thanks, Mom. I'll think about it." Then it came, the moment I'd been waiting for. Mom's voice rose, addressing the whole table. "Your sister bought a house!" "Jessica, tell Rachel about your place. Maybe it'll inspire her." Jessica lit up. "Oh my God, yes!" "Rachel, you should totally buy. It's the best decision we ever made. Brandon and I were scared at first, but now we're so glad we took the risk. We're building equity, making it our own space. It's just amazing." "That's great, Jess. You really should look into it. I know it's scary, but you can't rent forever." Then Mom delivered the line, the one I knew was coming, the one I'd been preparing for. "Your sister bought a house. When will you settle down?" her voice carried across the table. Everyone stopped eating, all eyes on me. I felt the familiar sting, the judgment, the disappointment, the comparison. And then I felt something else. Calm, clarity, the satisfaction of knowing what I knew and they didn't. I smiled, took a sip of my wine, and said, "You know what? I think it's time I told you all something." Mom looked suspicious. "What?" "I did buy a house. Last year, actually." The table went silent. Jessica laughed. "Wait, what?" "I did, in Carlsbad. 3 bedrooms, ocean view, it's beautiful." Mom's face went through several emotions: confusion, disbelief. "You bought a house? When? Why didn't you tell us?" "I bought it 14 months ago. I didn't tell you because, well, you never asked." Dad set down his fork. "What do you mean you bought a house in Carlsbad? Those houses are expensive. I paid $850,000. Put down 30%. Jessica's mouth fell open. "You put down, wait, that's over $250,000. How did you work in tech?" "Actually, it does. I make a $280,000 a year, plus bonuses and stock. My total compensation is over $400,000. Now everyone was staring. Uncle Carlos spoke up. "You make $400,000 this year." "Yes. Last year was closer to $300,000. Mom was shaking her head. "That's not possible. You drive an old car, you wear regular clothes, you live so modestly." "Because I save my money, I always have." While everyone assumed I was struggling, I was actually investing. "Investing in what?" Dad asked, his lawyer brain kicking in. "Real estate mostly. The Carlsbad house is my 4th property. I also own a condo in Sacramento, a duplex in Stockton, and a 4-unit apartment building in Fresno. All rented, all cash flowing." The silence was deafening. Jessica found our voice first. "4 properties? Yes. Total value around $2.3 million. I have about $900,000 in equity." But you said you were renting." "I never said that. You all assumed. I let you assume. Because honestly, it was easier than dealing with." I gestured around the table. "This." Mom's face was red. "Why would you hide this from us?" "Because every time I accomplished anything, you minimized it or ignored it. When I graduated from MIT, you left early for Jessica's orientation. When I got my first 6-figure job, you changed the subject to talk about Jessica's retail position. Every achievement I had was met with indifference or criticism, so I stopped sharing." "That's not true," Mom started. "It is true, and tonight is a perfect example. Your sister bought a house. When will you settle down?" You asked that without knowing anything about my life. Without caring about my life. Because you'd already decided I was the failure and Jessica was the success. Jessica was crying now. "Rachel, that's so mean." "Is it? Is it mean to point out that for 10 years, this family has treated me like a disappointment while celebrating Jessica's every mediocre achievement? That I've been building wealth and success while being told I'm aimless and directionless?" Dad stood up. "Rachel, that's enough." "No, it's not enough. It's long overdue." I stood too. "I'm 32 years old. I have a net worth over $1 million. I'm financially independent. I could retire tomorrow if I wanted to. I own a beautiful house in one of the most expensive zip codes in California. I have a career I love, making more money than anyone at this table. And yet, all I've heard for years is how I need to be more like Jessica." I looked at Jessica. She was sobbing into Brandon's shoulder. "Jess, I'm happy for you. Really. Your condo is cute. Brandon's a good guy. You're building a nice life. But it's not better than mine. It's not more successful. It's just more visible, more conventional. And this family valued that over my actual achievements." Mom was crying now too. "We had no idea. You had no idea because you never asked, never visited, never cared enough to look beyond your assumptions. You decided who I was, and nothing I did was going to change that." "So what?" Uncle Carlos said. "You've been lying to us for years, and now you're mad that we believed your lies." "I didn't lie. I just didn't correct your wrong assumptions. There's a difference. That's semantics." Dad said. "Maybe. But here's what's not semantics. I'm done. I'm done with the comparisons, the pity, the judgment. I'm done attending family events where I'm treated like a charity case. I'm done pretending this is normal or healthy." "You're overreacting," Mom said. "Am I? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you asked about my life, my job, my happiness? When was the last time you celebrated an achievement of mine?" Silence. "That's what I thought. You know what? I think I'm gonna head out. Thanks for dinner." I grabbed my coat. Walked to the door. Behind me, chaos erupted. People talking over each other, Mom crying, Jessica yelling something about me being cruel. I stepped outside into the cool December night. Got in my old Honda Civic and drove home to my $850,000 house with the ocean view. It was the best Christmas gift I'd ever given myself. The fallout from Christmas dinner started before I even got home. My phone exploded with messages. I turned the sound off and drove home in blissful silence, watching the sun set over the Pacific. By the time I pulled into my driveway, at my house, there were 47 unread messages in the family group chat. I poured myself a glass of wine, settled onto my couch with Max and Lucy curled up beside me, and finally looked at my phone. The messages were a predictable mix. Jessica wrote, "I can't believe you would humiliate me like that in front of everyone. I thought we were sisters. You're so cruel. Mom, Rachel, we need to talk. Please call me. I don't understand why you're so angry. We love you. Dad, your behavior tonight was completely inappropriate. You owe your mother and sister an apology. Aunt Marie, well, that was quite a bombshell. Congrats on the success, but did you have to ruin Christmas? Uncle Carlos, so you're rich and you let us all think you were struggling. That's pretty messed up." And then buried in the middle one message that made me pause. My cousin Andrea wrote, "Holy shit, Rachel, that was BS. Call me when you can." Andrea was 28, my Uncle Tom's daughter. We'd never been particularly close, but she'd always been different from the rest of the family. More independent, less concerned with keeping up appearances. I texted her back, "Thanks. Probably not coming to family events for a while." Her response came immediately, "Good. They're exhausting. Seriously though, can we grab coffee? I need to hear the full story." I agreed to meet her the next day, then put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went to bed. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke up to 63 more messages. I didn't read any of them. Instead, I went for a run on the beach with the dogs, made myself an elaborate breakfast, and sat on my deck overlooking the ocean. This was my life. The life I'd built. The life my family knew nothing about because they'd never bothered to ask. I felt lighter than I had in years. At noon, I met Andrea at a coffee shop in Encinitas halfway between our houses. She hugged me immediately. "Oh my God, Rachel, I've been waiting for someone to call out that family dynamic for years." "You have? Are you kidding? It's been painful to watch. Jessica gets worshipped for literally existing while you get criticized for breathing wrong. I'm surprised you lasted as long as you did." We sat down with our coffees, and I told her everything. The whole story, the investments, the properties, the years of letting them assume I was struggling. Andrea listened with wide eyes. "This is incredible," she said when I finished. "You're like a financial genius. Why did you hide it?" "Because they wouldn't have believed it. Or they would have found a way to make it about Jessica. Or they would have asked me for money. There was no winning." Andrea nodded slowly. "Have you checked the group chat today?" "No. I'm taking a break from family drama." "Oh, you need to see this." She pulled out her phone and showed me. The family group chat had devolved into chaos. Some people were defending me, mostly the younger cousins who'd felt the same pressure to live up to impossible standards. Others were attacking me for lying and humiliating Jessica, and some were just confused. But the most interesting messages were from my parents. Mom had written at 7:30 a.m. "I spoke with a therapist friend last night. She says Rachel might be having a mental health crisis." The lying, the anger, the grandiose claims about money. These are all warning signs we need to help her. Dad added at 7:45. Agreed. "I'm going to suggest we do an intervention. She's clearly not thinking straight." I stared at the messages. "Are they serious?" Andrea grimaced. "My mom called this morning. Apparently, your parents are telling everyone you might be mentally ill. That you're making up the houses and the money, or that you're in massive debt and pretending to be rich. They want to help you." A cold feeling settled in my stomach. "They're trying to gaslight me. Even now. Looks like it." My mom asked if I'd join an intervention. I told her to fuck off. I laughed despite myself. "Thank you, Rachel. I have to ask, do you have proof of all of it? Because if they're going this route, you might need to show receipts." "I have proof of everything. Deeds, bank statements, pay stubs. I'm a software engineer. I document everything." "Good. Because I think this is about to get uglier." She was right. That afternoon, my mom called from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Rachel, thank God. Please don't hang up. What do you want, Mom?" "I want to help you. Honey, Dad and I are so worried. If you're in trouble, financially or mentally, we want to support you. But you have to be honest with us." I was honest with you. At Christmas. "Rachel, we check. Houses in Carlsbad don't cost $850,000, they cost over $1 million, and you said you make $400,000 a year, but that's not realistic for someone your age in tech. We just want to understand what's really going on. I pulled up Zillow on my laptop while she talked. Found my house. The estimated value was now $920,000. It had appreciated since I bought it. I took a screenshot. Mom, I bought my house 14 months ago for $850,000. The market has gone up since then. And yes, I make over 400,000 in total compensation. That's not unusual for a VP of engineering at a Series C startup. A VP. Rachel, you never told us you were a VP. You never asked what my title was. You never asked anything about my job except whether I still had it. Silence. Then, we want to meet with you. This weekend, Dad and I and Jessica and Brandon. Just the immediate family. We need to clear the air. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, we're family. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Fine, but not at your house, somewhere neutral. We settled on a restaurant in Costa Mesa. Saturday at 2 p.m. After I hung up, I called Andrea back. They want a family meeting. That sounds like a trap. Probably. But I want to face this head on. I'm tired of running. Then bring proof. Every document you have. Make it impossible for them to deny reality. She was right. If this was going to be a confrontation, I needed to be armed with facts. I spent the next 3 days preparing. I gathered every piece of evidence, property deeds for all 4 properties. Recent mortgage statements showing my equity. Bank statements showing my account balances. Pay stubs from the last 3 years showing my salary progression. My most recent promotion letter with my title and compensation, tax returns proving my income, screenshots of my investment accounts, rental agreements from my tenants showing cash flow. I put it all in a folder. Then I made 3 copies, one for me, one to leave with Andrea in case something happened, and one to bring to the meeting. I also did something else. I called Patricia Nangayan, my real estate attorney, the one who'd helped me with my property purchases. Patricia, I need advice. My family is trying to claim I'm mentally ill because I revealed my financial situation. She listened to the whole story. Then she said, Rachel, this is more common than you think. Families who've been financially controlling often react poorly when they lose that control. If they try to paint you as incompetent or unstable, you need to protect yourself. How? Document everything. Record the meeting if California's laws allow, which they do, since you're a party to the conversation. Keep copies of all your financial documents somewhere they can't access. And most importantly, make sure you have a healthcare directive and power of attorney assigned to someone trustworthy who's now T-family. If they tried to have you declared incompetent, you need safeguards. A chill ran down my spine. You think they'd actually try that? I think people do desperate things when their worldview is challenged. Better safe than sorry. I spent Thursday drafting healthcare directives and power of attorney documents, assigning everything to Andrea, who agreed immediately. I had them notarized Friday morning. Friday evening, Andrea came over. We sat on my deck drinking wine and watching the sunset. Are you nervous about tomorrow? She asked. Strangely, no. I spent years being nervous around them. Nervous I'd say the wrong thing, nervous I'd never measure up. But now, I know who I am. I know what I've accomplished. They can't take that away from me. What if they don't believe you? Even with proof, then they don't believe me. I can't control that, but at least I'll know I tried. And if they do believe you, what then? I thought about that. Then maybe we can have an actual relationship, one based on truth instead of assumptions. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath. Andrea raised her glass to truth and to badass women who build empires while everyone underestimates them. We clinked glasses. That night, I reviewed my evidence one more time. I practiced what I wanted to say. I imagined every possible response and prepared my counter-arguments. I was ready for battle. Saturday arrived clear and sunny. I dressed carefully, nice jeans, a cashmere sweater, understated jewelry. Professional but not flashy. I wanted to look successful, but not like I was trying too hard. I put the folder of documents in my bag, along with my phone set to record audio. Andrea had helped me test it the night before to make sure the quality was clear. The restaurant was in Costa Mesa, upscale but not pretentious. I arrived 10 minutes early and asked for a private table in the back. The hostess led me to a booth with high backs, perfect for a sensitive conversation. I ordered water and waited. Mom and Dad arrived first, dressed like they were going to a business meeting. Mom hugged me stiffly. Dad shook my hand. We sat in awkward silence. Jessica and Brandon came 5 minutes later. Jessica's eyes were red and puffy. She'd been crying probably all week. Brandon looked uncomfortable, like he wanted to be anywhere else. We ordered drinks, made small talk about the weather, the traffic, anything but the elephant in the room. Then Dad cleared his throat. Rachel, thank you for agreeing to meet with us. We've all been very concerned since Christmas. Concerned about what? About you, Mom said, reaching for my hand across the table. I pulled away. Honey, the things you said, they were very troubling, very unlike you. Unlike me how? The anger, the accusations, the claims about money and houses. We're worried you might be going through something. Stress, maybe, or mental illness? I finished. I saw the group chat, Mom. I know you've been telling people I'm having a breakdown. She had the grace to look embarrassed. We're just trying to understand. What's to understand? I told you the truth. I've been successful for years, and you never noticed because you were too busy paying attention to Jessica. Jessica spoke up, her voice small. Rachel, I never asked for that. I never wanted you to feel less than. But you benefited from it. You got the attention, the financial support, the validation. And you never once questioned whether it was fair. That's not true. I thought you were doing fine. You never said you were struggling. I wasn't struggling. That's my point. But you all assumed I was because it fit your narrative. The successful golden child and the disappointing older sister. Dad held up his hand. Rachel, let's focus on the facts. You claim you bought a house in Carlsbad for $850,000. You claim you make $400,000 in a year. You claim you own multiple properties. These are extraordinary claims that require extraordinary evidence. I pulled the folder from my bag. Fine, let's look at the evidence. I spread the documents across the table. Property deeds, mortgage statements, pay stubs. Mom picked up my most recent pay stub. Her hands were shaking. $280,000, she read aloud, plus stock options and bonuses. She looked up at me, her face pale. This is real. It's real. That's from last month. Dad picked up a property deed. This says you purchased 2847 Drive, Carlsbad for $850,000 on November 15th, 14 months ago. He looked at the mortgage statement. Current balance $595,000. You put down $255,000? I did. Jessica was looking through my bank statements. Rachel, you have almost $500,000 in savings. Just sitting there. Emergency fund. 6 months of expenses plus funds for property maintenance and opportunities. Brandon picked up the rental agreements. These tenants are paying you, Jesus, you're clearing $4,000 a month in rental income. After expenses, yes, plus the appreciation on all 4 properties. The table was silent. They were looking at the documents like they were written in a foreign language. Undeniable proof of everything I'd said. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Why didn't you tell us? I tried to tell you. Every time I got a promotion, every achievement, every success, you either ignored it or changed the subject to talk about Jessica. So I stopped trying. But this, she gestured at the documents, this is different. This is life-changing money, success. Everything you said I was too directionless to achieve. I leaned forward. Here's what you don't understand. I didn't hide this out of spite. I hid it out of self-preservation. Because I knew that if I told you, one of 3 things would happen. I held up one finger. 1, you'd find a way to minimize it. Tell me it's not that impressive, or that Jessica's doing just as well in her own way, or that money isn't everything. A second finger. 2, you'd make it about Jessica. Ask why I couldn't help my sister more. Suggest I give her money or buy her things. Make me feel guilty for having more. A third finger. 3, you'd start treating me differently. Suddenly I'd be worth paying attention to, worth celebrating, worth visiting, and I'd spend the rest of my life wondering if you loved me or loved my money. That's not fair, Dad said. Isn't it, Dad? At Jessica's birthday, you stood up and said I should take notes from her because she'd figured out what matters in life. I was making over $200,000 a year, owned 3 properties, and was planning my 4th purchase. But you looked at her tiny condo and said she had it figured out and I didn't. He had no answer. I turned to Jessica. Jess, I don't blame you for this. You didn't know, but you also never questioned it. You never wondered why Mom and Dad gave you $40,000 for your down payment but never offered to help me. You never asked why your 13 and our retail job got celebrated while my 6-figure promotions got ignored. You just accepted that you were the successful one and I was the failure. Jessica was crying again. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't see it. I know you didn't. That's the problem. None of you saw me. You saw your idea of me, the struggling older sister who couldn't get her life together. And nothing I did could change that image. Mom was crying now, mascara running down her face. What do you want from us, Rachel? An apology. Is that what this is about? I want you to understand, to really understand what you did. You spent 10 years making me feel like a failure while I was actually succeeding beyond your wildest dreams. You prioritized Jessica's feelings, Jessica's achievements, Jessica's needs, always. And when I finally told you the truth, your first instinct was to say I was mentally ill, to deny reality rather than admit you were wrong about me. We didn't know what to think, Dad said defensively. You could have asked. You could have said, Rachel, tell us more about this. Show us your house. Help us understand your success. Instead, you jumped to she must be crazy. The silence stretched. They had no defense because there was no defense. Finally, Mom spoke. What do you want us to do now? I want you to think about your priorities. About how you treat your children. About whether you're capable of seeing me as I actually am instead of who you decided I was when I was 22. And then, if you can honestly say you're willing to change, willing to build a real relationship based on respect and truth, then maybe we can try again. And if we can't? Jessica asked quietly, then I'll continue living my life, successfully, happily, without you in it. Because here's what I learned: I don't need your validation. I don't need your approval. I built this life without your support, and I can continue it without your presence. I gathered my documents, put them back in the folder. I'm going to go now. You have my number. If you want to have a real conversation, one where you actually listen and take responsibility, call me. But if you just want to guilt trip me or defend yourselves or make this about how I hurt Jessica's feelings, don't bother. I stood up, put money on the table for my water. Oh, and one more thing. I'm spending New Year's Eve on a beach in Hawaii. I booked a week at a resort, first-class flights, ocean view suite, the works. I'm celebrating the life I built, the life you never bothered to notice. I walked out of the restaurant, got in my car, and drove home. This time I felt no regret, only clarity. The week in Hawaii was exactly what I needed. I spent my days snorkeling, reading on the beach, and eating at restaurants where the cheapest entry cost $50. I posted nothing on social media. Told no one where I was except Andrea, who was watering my plants and watching the dogs. It was bliss. When I got back, there were 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. I ignored them all for 2 days while I did laundry, caught up on work emails, and readjusted to reality. On the third day, I finally listened to the voicemails. Most were from Mom, variations on the same theme. Rachel, please call me back. We need to talk. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Please, honey, don't shut us out. One was from Jessica. I get it. I'm trying to get it. I talked to Brandon, and we realized how unfair things have been. Can we talk, please? One was from Dad. Rachel, your mother is very upset. Whatever our difference is, she's your mother. Call her back. And one was from Andrea. Girl, I don't know what you said at that lunch, but Aunt Linda has called my mom 3 times asking if I know how you really are. They're spiraling. It's kind of amazing to watch. Call me when you're back? I called Andrea first. Welcome back. How was Hawaii? Perfect. Peaceful. What's happening here? Oh my God, so much drama. Your mom has been calling everyone in the family trying to figure out if you're really as successful as you claimed. She called Uncle Joe, who works in tech, and asked him if VP salaries are really that high. He confirmed they are, which apparently sent her into a crying fit. She's still trying to prove I'm lying. No, I think she's trying to process that you were telling the truth. It's like her entire worldview got shattered. She's been telling people she failed as a mother and doesn't know how she missed all the signs. What signs? The signs that I was successful. Exactly, it's wild. And Jessica apparently had a huge fight with Brandon because he pointed out that your house is worth more than theirs, and they're still paying a mortgage while you could pay yours off tomorrow if you wanted. I could pay off all my mortgages tomorrow if I wanted. I keep them for tax purposes and because the interest rates are low. See, that's the kind of thing that would blow their minds. You're playing chess while they're playing checkers? I laughed. What about Dad? Your dad is in denial, I think. He keeps saying you were always good with money, like this was somehow predictable. Like he totally saw this coming. Which is hilarious because he literally said you needed to get your life together like 2 weeks ago. Classic. So what do you think I should do? What do you want to do? I thought about that. I want them to actually change. Not just apologize and then go back to the same patterns. I want a real relationship based on who I actually am. Do you think that's possible? I don't know. Maybe. But I'm not going to beg for it. The ball's in their court. Over the next 2 weeks, the calls and messages continued. But the tone shifted. Mom stopped asking me to call and started sending long text messages. Rachel, I've been in therapy. My therapist asked me to write down every time I compared you to Jessica. I filled 3 pages. I'm so sorry. I called NIT and talked to the alumni office. They told me you graduated summa cum laude. I don't even remember that. I'm ashamed that I don't remember. Your father and I went through old photos. There's one of you at your college graduation. You look so proud. We're in the background on our phones. We weren't even paying attention. I can't stop thinking about it. Jessica sent messages too. I talked to Mom about the down payment money. I never knew you didn't get help too. I just assumed they helped both of us. I feel so stupid. Brandon and I looked at our finances. We're basically living paycheck to paycheck even with Mom and Dad's help. You built an empire on your own. I'm starting to understand why you're angry. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want you to know I see it now. I see what I didn't see before. Dad's messages were shorter, more formal. Rachel, I've been reviewing my behavior. You were right. I prioritized Jessica unfairly. I'm sorry. Your mother misses you, we both do. When you're ready, we'd like to try again. I didn't respond to any of them. Not yet. I wanted to see if the change was real or just temporary guilt. In February, I got a letter in the mail. Actual snail mail in Mom's handwriting. Dear Rachel, I don't know if you're reading my texts, so I'm writing this the old-fashioned way. I've spent the last 6 weeks in therapy, and I've learned some hard truths about myself. I have a favorite. I've always had a favorite. Jessica was easier to love, she needed me more, or at least that's what I told myself. You were so capable, so independent, that I convinced myself you didn't need me, and then I resented you for not needing me. I see now how toxic that was. How unfair. You didn't choose to be capable. You became capable because you had to be, because your father and I weren't there for you the way we should have been. I can't take back the last 10 years. I can't undo the damage, but I want to try to do better. Not because I want you to forgive me. I don't know if you can or should, but because you deserve a mother who sees you. Really sees you. I'm proud of you, Rachel. I'm proud of your success, yes, but more than that, I'm proud of your strength, your integrity, your ability to build a life on your terms despite having parents who didn't support you the way we should have. If you're willing, I'd like to visit your house. I'd like to see what you've built. I'd like to meet your dogs. I'd like to know the real you, not the version I created in my head. I understand if the answer is no, but I hope it's not. Love, Mom. I read the letter 3 times. Showed it to Andrea. What do you think? I asked. I think it sounds genuine. But you know her better than I do. Do you believe it? But I've been burned before. Then test it. Invite her to your house. See if she's actually different or if this is just guilt talking. I thought about it for a week. Then I texted Mom, you can visit. Next Saturday, 2 p.m., just you, not Dad or Jessica yet. We'll start small. Her response came immediately, thank you. I'll be there. Saturday arrived. I was nervous in a way I hadn't been at the restaurant confrontation. This felt more vulnerable somehow, letting her into my space, my sanctuary. At exactly 2 p.m., her car pulled into my driveway. She got out slowly, looking at the house. Her hand went to her mouth. I opened the door. Max and Lucy bounded out to investigate. Mom dropped to her knees and let them sniff her, laughing as Lucy licked her face. You have dogs, she said. For 2 years now I got Max first, then Lucy from a rescue. They're beautiful. She stood up, brushing dog hair off her pants. Then she looked at the house. Really looked at it. Rachel, this is incredible. I gave her the tour. Showed her the ocean view master bedroom, the home office where I worked, the gourmet kitchen I'd renovated, the backyard with the fire pit where I hosted friends for dinner parties. With each room, I watched her face. Saw the realization settling in. This wasn't just a house. This was a life. A real, full, successful life that she'd known nothing about. In the living room, she stopped in front of my bookshelf. It was full of technical books, some fiction, framed photos. She picked up one photo, me at MIT graduation holding my diploma. I don't remember this day, she said quietly. I mean, I remember being there, but I don't remember how it felt. How you felt? I was already thinking about Jessica's orientation. I wasn't present. No, you weren't. She set the photo down. Can we sit? We sat on my couch. Mom looked around the room again, taking it all in. I spent 10 years pitying you, she said. Worrying about you, telling people you were struggling, and the whole time you were doing this, building this, and I had no idea, because you never asked. Because I never asked, she agreed. Rachel, I want to understand. Why didn't you force me to see? Why did you let me believe you were struggling? At first, I tried to share, but every achievement got minimized or ignored. So I stopped trying, and then I realized something: your lack of attention gave me freedom. You weren't interfering in my life, telling me what to do, judging my choices. You were too busy with Jessica to micromanage me, so I used that freedom to build exactly the life I wanted. That's incredibly smart. And incredibly sad? Yeah, it is. She was quiet for a long moment. Jessica told me something last week. She said that she's starting to realize her accomplishments weren't really hers, they were ours. Mine and your dad's. We funded her life. We cleared obstacles for her. We made everything easy. And now she's 30 years old and doesn't know if she's actually capable of anything because she's never had to struggle. That's insightful of her. She's in therapy too. We all are. Mom looked at me. Your father is having a hard time with this. He doesn't like being wrong. He doesn't like admitting he failed at something. But even he admits we failed you. You didn't fail me, you just underestimated me, and then kept underestimating me even when the evidence said otherwise. Can I ask you something? Sure. Are you happy? Really happy? Or are you just successful? I thought about that. Both. I love my job. I love my house. I have great friends, hobbies I enjoy, financial security. Yes, I'm happy. I'm glad. I truly am. She paused. Do you think you'll ever forgive us? I don't know, Mom. Maybe. But forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. And it's not the same as going back to how things were. If we're going to have a relationship, it has to be different. Equal, based on reality. I understand. I'll take whatever you're willing to give. We talked for another hour. About her therapy, about her realizations, about Jessica's struggles to find her own identity. Mom didn't make excuses, didn't try to justify. She just listened when I talked about my hurt and acknowledged it. When she left, she hugged me tightly. Thank you for giving me a chance. I know I don't deserve it. We'll see how it goes. Over the next few months, things slowly shifted. Mom visited once a month, always just her, always respectful of my space and boundaries. She asked questions about my work and actually listened to the answers. She admired my properties and never once suggested I should help Jessica financially. Dad came eventually, stiff and uncomfortable but trying. He apologized formally, lawyer-like, but it felt genuine. He asked about my investment strategy and seemed genuinely impressed. Jessica was the hardest. She was dealing with her own crisis, realizing that her identity was built on being the favored child, and now that I'd shattered that illusion, she didn't know who she was. We had coffee a few times. The conversations were awkward but honest. I'm not asking to be best friends, she said at one of those coffees. I just don't want to be the villain in your story. You're not the villain, Jess. You're just someone who benefited from an unfair system. What you do with that knowledge is what matters now. She nodded. I'm trying to figure that out. By June, we'd established a new normal. Small family dinners, quarterly at first, where we talked about real things. My work, Jessica's therapy journey, Mom's volunteer work, Dad's pending retirement, no comparisons, no competitions, just conversation. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes old patterns emerged. Mom would start to say something about Jessica's achievement and then catch herself. Dad would begin to give unsolicited advice and then stop. But they were trying. Really trying. And slowly, carefully, I let them back in. The real satisfaction came not from family reconciliation, but from watching the truth ripple through our extended family. Uncle Carlos, who drunkenly toasted Jessica for figuring out life while mocking me, suddenly got very quiet at family gatherings. He'd invested in some risky stocks and lost a chunk of his retirement. Meanwhile, my diversified portfolio was thriving. He never asked me for advice, but I caught him watching me differently, with something that looked like respect. Aunt Marie, who'd offered to connect me with her realtor friend for affordable starter homes, mentioned at Easter that her neighbor's house had sold for $1.2 million. Can you believe these California prices? She'd said. Your house must be worth a fortune now, Rachel. It's appreciated nicely? Yes, I'd replied simply. The cousins who'd unfriended me after Christmas started sending friend requests again. I accepted some, ignored others. The ones who defended me got invitations to my summer pool parties. The ones who'd attacked me got nothing. Jessica eventually left her startup job and went back to school for a master's degree in counseling. She was using Mom and Dad's money again, but this time it was for something she actually wanted, not something she thought she should want. She seemed lighter. More herself. I think I became the golden child because I thought it would make them love me more, she told me one day. But it just made me hollow. I don't want to be golden anymore. I just want to be real. Real is better, I agreed. Brandon and Jessica sold their condo and moved to a smaller apartment. They were struggling financially, but Jessica seemed happier. Less pressure, less pretending. Mom started volunteering at a women's financial literacy nonprofit, teaching women to manage their money, she told me, so they don't have to depend on anyone else. So they can be independent, in a good way. It felt like penance. I didn't discourage it. Dad took me to lunch one day, just the two of us. Over expensive sushi, he said, I was thinking about your portfolio. If you ever want to discuss tax strategy or estate planning, I'd be happy to help. No charge, obviously, just let me contribute something. It was his way of acknowledging my success, of offering to be useful. I accepted. At Thanksgiving, the first family gathering I'd attended since Christmas, dynamic was completely different. We gathered at Mom and Dad's, but this time, when I walked in, people actually asked about my life. How's work, Rachel? Tell us about your trip to Hawaii. I heard you just bought another property. I'd bought a beach cottage in Oregon as a vacation rental. It was doing well. I shared the details. People listened. No one compared me to Jessica. No one suggested I should do something differently. Jessica announced she was starting her master's program in January. The family congratulated her. Then Dad turned to me and said, Rachel, didn't you mentor a junior engineer who just got promoted? Tell us about that. And people listened, really listened. During dinner, Uncle Carlos raised his glass. To family, and to success in all its forms. Everyone drank. It wasn't a specific apology to me, but it was acknowledgement. Things had changed. After dinner, I helped Mom clean up. In the kitchen, she squeezed my hand. Thank you for being here. I know it's not easy. It's getting easier. I'm grateful. So grateful you're giving us another chance. You're doing the work, Mom. That's why I'm here. At Christmas, 1 year after my revelation, I brought a date. His name was David, a fellow software engineer I'd been seeing for 3 months. Smart, kind, financially independent. We'd met at a tech conference. Mom welcomed him warmly. David, it's wonderful to meet you. Rachel's told us so much about you. She asked him thoughtful questions. Treated him like a real guest, not like a potential son-in-law she needed to evaluate. It was refreshing. Jessica pulled me aside at one point. He seems great, Rach. Really great. I'm happy for you. Thanks. Jess, her things, are we okay? You and me. I looked at my sister. She looked different than she had a year ago. Less polished, more uncertain, but also more genuine. We're getting there, I said honestly. Takes time to rebuild trust. I know, I'm willing to take that time if you are. I am. That Christmas, there were no comparisons. No one asked when I would settle down, because I clearly had. No one suggested I should be more like Jessica, because they'd realized I didn't need to be anyone but myself. When we went around the table sharing what we were grateful for, Mom said, I'm grateful that Rachel is still in our lives, that she gave us the chance to see her for who she really is. I'm grateful I finally woke up, Dad added. I'm grateful for second chances, and for a daughter who was strong enough to demand better. Jessica said, I'm grateful to be figuring out who I am, for real this time. When it was my turn, I said, I'm grateful for the life I built. I'm grateful that I can now share it with people who actually see it. Now, 2 years after that fateful Christmas dinner, I'm sitting on my deck watching the sunset over the Pacific. Max and Lucy are at my feet. David is in the kitchen making dinner. He moved in 6 months ago, and it's been seamless. We're partners in the truest sense. My real estate portfolio is now worth $3.2 million. I took a sabbatical from work last year and traveled through Europe for 3 months. When I came back, I started a consulting business helping other women in tech build wealth through real estate investing. It's fulfilling in a way my corporate job never was. Mom and I have coffee once a month. Our relationship isn't perfect, but it's real. She's learning to see me as I am, not as she wished I'd be. Some days are better than others. But we're trying. Jessica finished her master's degree and got a job as a school counselor. She loves it. She's making 65 Zalos in a year and is proud of it, not because it compares to anyone else's salary, but because she earned it herself. She and Brandon moved to Arizona where the cost of living is lower. They seem happy. Dad helps with my tax strategy now. It's become our bonding activity. Quarterly meetings where we review my investments and plan for the future. He's proud of what I've built, and he's not afraid to say so anymore. The extended family treats me differently now, with respect, with genuine interest. Some relationships healed, others didn't. I'm okay with that. Andrea and I are closer than ever. She's become my chosen sister, the one who saw me clearly even when my blood family didn't. People sometimes ask if I regret hiding my success for so long. If I wish I'd confronted my family earlier. The honest answer is no. Those years of quietly building my empire while everyone underestimated me. They taught me that I don't need external validation. They taught me that my worth isn't determined by other people's opinions. They taught me that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's success they never saw coming. And when I finally did reveal the truth, I did it on my terms, at my moment, in my way. That control, that agency, it was worth the wait. Would I recommend this path to others? Maybe not. Everyone's journey is different. But I will say this: if your family can't see your worth, don't shrink yourself to fit their limited vision. Build your life anyway, succeed anyway, thrive anyway. And if they're lucky, someday they'll wake up and realize what they almost lost. My family got lucky. They woke up. They did the work. They earned their way back into my life. Not everyone does. And that's okay too. Because the most important thing I learned is this: you don't need your family's approval to be successful. You don't need their validation to be worthy. You don't need their recognition to be amazing. You just need to believe in yourself enough to build the life you want. Even if you have to build it alone. And if you do it right, you'll look back one day from your ocean view deck with your dogs at your feet and your partner making dinner, and realize that you didn't just survive being underestimated, you thrived because of it. That's the real victory. Not proving them wrong, though that felt pretty good, I won't lie. The real victory is proving yourself right, knowing that you saw your own potential when no one else did, and you built something extraordinary anyway. So here's to the underestimated daughters, the overlooked siblings, the people whose families can't see past their own assumptions. Build your empire quietly, live your truth boldly, and when you're ready, when you're strong enough that their opinions can't touch you, show them what they missed. Or don't. Sometimes the best revenge is living well and never looking back. Either way, you win.